On the pitch, every step counts. For Virginia Tech alumnus and former D1 soccer player Ava Veith, the field beneath her feet has always mattered, first to her game and now to her research.
I started at Virginia Tech not knowing anything about the turfgrass industry, not even knowing it existed. Really just so focused on soccer. That's really all I cared about. Just fell in love with it, and I just loved being able to be around the game, interact with athletes, and just use my own experiences too to kind of help guide my research project ideas.
As an undergraduate, Veith competed on Virginia Tech's women's soccer team. As she traveled to opponents' fields, pregame preparations planted the seed of curiosity.
When we would go on away trips, we would purposely get there the day before just to train on their field and get acclimated to it the day before the game. We would always kind of talk about the playing surface before games, and sometimes even use the surface to change our game plan, honestly.
That attention to surface sparked a question. Could field conditions influence safety? A summer research role with Dr. David McCall, a turfgrass pathologist focused on precision management and field playability, helped Veith explore the answers and turn intuition into measurable science.
We're looking at diseases that will come in and essentially kill the grass, leaving bare spots. As far as the precision management side of things, what we're trying to do is figure out where to put the right resources at the right time. She was naturally gravitated towards opportunities to test field playability. That was a focus within our lab. It seemed like the natural fit, and she really kind of jumped into that role and absolutely took over and just did a tremendous job with that research.
Veith's master's focused on how within-field variability affects athlete safety and performance. She studied common turfgrass stressors like spring dead spot and winter kill, and then brought athletes onto 4 contrasting playing surfaces.
The idea behind that study, kind of the gap in the literature, is a lot of studies are just looking at natural and synthetic. We really wanted to dive deeper into the variability within both field types, so that's why we included 4 fields. So we had 2 natural and 2 synthetic. And then of both of those surface types, we had a low usage field and a high usage field. So for example, we had our stadium soccer and lacrosse field, and then the rugby practice field. So just 2 different types of surfaces as well. And then we also had 2 separate areas within each of the 4 fields that exhibited the most within field variability. That way we can look at how it specifically impacted the athletes by using those wearable technologies. So what we saw was variability within all fields. Mainly in hardness was the one thing that varied probably the most for this specific study. We saw how it related to the athletes, the impact forces on their lower limbs, as well as their perception of the field.
When the data came in, one surface stood out: Virginia Tech's premier Thompson Field, with well-maintained Bermuda grass.
Once we started looking at the data, both the survey data as well as our quantifiable data, it really broke out into 3 tiers. The top performing was that high-level natural playing surface where the soccer teams play. After that, we actually had the cluster of both synthetic fields. Both of those performed very similarly, both in perception from the athletes as well as the actual quantifiable numbers that we looked at. The poorest performing was the rec sports natural grass Bermuda grass field that gets overused extensively, always has the traffic on it.
Variability within the field that you can't necessarily see with your eye is when injuries happen. So I kind of like to explain it. So if you're running on concrete and then you transition to mud or something, you can see that with your eye and your body subconsciously adjusts. But when you're running on a field that has variable hardness levels, moisture levels, or whatever, and you can't see that, that's when injuries occur. So with my research, we're really trying to not only quantify this variability, but identify where it is and how we can map it and make better, more selective management practices based on that data.
Veith's testing centered on female athletes as they face elevated risk of ACL tears.
We had them wear, they actually wore in a vest, it was a unit on their back, and that measured trunk acceleration, so basically what their upper body is doing during movements. And we didn't see any significant differences with that, but that was the kind of the idea behind it, because it had a relationship to their knee angle and like just what their overall body is doing.
And McCall says that this type of research has implications for field managers at all levels.
Ultimately, what we're trying to do is figure out where the resources need to go so that they can produce the most consistent, most uniform surfaces as possible, so everybody has somewhere safe to play.
And for Veith, her journey continues at Penn State as she strives to make the beautiful game safer for her teammates and generations of athletes to come.
My teammates are my why. They mean the world to me, and they've been by my side throughout my entire time at Virginia Tech. I think as long as I'm doing research on athletic fields, collecting data, and just being around the game, I'll be happy doing whatever.
From the soccer pitch to research plots, Ava Veith shows how agriculture touches every field of play. For Real Virginia, I'm Elijah Griles.